Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Young Sutton, and today I'm going to talk about the Lenormand Bouquet. One of my favorite cards in the deck, the Bouquet is a card that always lifts the mood of a reading, as it's a joyful card that makes things flourish or blossom. It represents something pleasant that's offered to us. So think of any situation where you might bring or receive flowers. The first things I think of when I see this card are simple pleasures or surprises offered that make us happy, or something attractive or creative. It's the card of spring, joy, invitations, gratitude, offers, gifts, flattery, pleasantries, celebrating something, creativity, color, fragrance, beauty, and art. It's also the card of hospitality, politeness, and charm and grace. Bouquets are lovely gifts and often come as a pleasant surprise. They're sent to relay sentiments and often come as invitations, a sign of appreciation, gratitude, or sympathy, intentions to cultivate a relationship, or pleasant announcements. The card may appear to indicate unexpected assistance, especially from an unlikely source, because it's the card of surprises. And why am I relating it to assistance? Because it's the card of pleasant offers. So if that fits the context of your question, then that's what it's saying. It's also the card of flowers and insects, because, where do you find insects but on flowers? And that's why it can relate to allergies in a health reading. Now, unlike the clover, which we may be lucky enough to find, the bouquet represents happiness that's offered to us and often relates to receiving something special, something extra in life. The closer it falls to your card, the more you'll enjoy the beauty and fragrance of the flowers. Everything about this card is joyful, whether you're receiving gratitude and appreciation or gifts and invitations. It's all good. So the bouquet can indicate a pleasant surprise that makes you feel special, or it could relate to finding joy in our daily lives by finding beauty in or appreciation for the simple things. It may suggest being courteous and considerate, or offering gratitude to another. If the context of the question supports it, falling with the ring, it may indicate a wedding proposal. Now, looking at the cards on the table, you see that the images are of flower arrangements rather than flowers in a field. And this is to relay the idea that they were picked or purchased and arranged into a bouquet to bring into your home to add beauty and joy, or to give to someone as a sign of all of the things that I just mentioned, right? Gratitude, admiration, an invitation, flattering, or flirting. All right, so if we look at the plot, of course, I have the plots in my book. Oh, I lost the page. Hang on. There's the bouquet. And the plot is short and sweet. The bouquet means much happiness in every respect. Okay, well, that doesn't give us a lot of information, but one thing is certain, it's a positive card. The plot, or the method of distance instructions then give us more information. Let me read this. Okay. Because it adds its beauty and fragrance to any situation, you definitely want it near your card. But because it references receiving something extra, it has no negative meaning when far, but it will bring pleasantness to whatever cards it touches. In the far position, it simply won't bring any extra pleasantness to the seeker, but it will still lighten the mood of the cards that surround it. Now, it's also part of the Providence cluster, which the 19th century instructions describe as indicating blessings from the universe or a higher power. Now, finding the bouquet and lily near and above your card indicated being rewarded for your purity and goodness, the lily being the card of purity and goodness, and the bouquet telling you that you would be rewarded for that. The child is the third card in this cluster, and finding that near was an indicator of your innocence and good intentions, right? Now, also in my book, under the emblems meaning, I explain that the plot was written around the Victorian era, when flowers were used to convey sentiments that weren't considered proper to speak. admiration, ardor, appreciation, sympathy, congratulations, or apologies were typical reasons to offer someone flowers, and the Lenormand Bouquet encompasses all of these sentiments. It's a card that definitely stirs the emotions in a positive way. Now, in a relationship reading, of course, how could it not be welcome? It can represent joyful and beautiful moments shared, invitations, maybe you're going to receive a gift, being appreciated or seen as beautiful, or it may indicate that the relationship is flourishing or blossoming. Yeehaw, right? Now, when asking for advice, depending upon the context, it may suggest accepting help from others, being gracious or polite, wear your best clothes, bring a gift, be creative, and make something more attractive, or my favorite, take time to smell the roses. Now we can compare it to the clover because they can both relate to enjoying the simple things in life, right? But the clover is more about being carefree, while the bouquet references finding the beauty in the mundane. I'd like to also compare it to the moon, because the bouquet can relate to our gifts and talents, right? It's the gift card, so it can relate to our gifts and talents and being appreciated for them or complimented on them, while the moon shows that we're standing out in the crowd and receiving accolades for them, right? I mean, the moon is the card of great honors, fortune, and fame. So it's saying that you're being noticed on a much grander scale than the bouquet. All right. Now, descriptively, the bouquet can say that someone or something is attractive, genteel, as in elegant and graceful, colorful, beautiful smile, fragrant, gracious, charming, beautiful, someone with style, imagination, creativity, something decorative, artistic. It could describe someone as being one who gives compliments, a giver, right? Somebody who always wants to make things prettier and nicer, and a real Pollyanna type. Okay. Now, let's look at the verse cards, right? We have the red owl says, from beautiful flowers, bouquets, from beautiful flower bouquets, happiness arises. Not small joys, but luck and everything maximizes. So that's telling you that it influences all the cards it touches. It brings joy and lifts the mood of anything around it. And then Liz Dean's Fairy Tale Fortune card says, the flowers are a gift of happiness to come. So she mentions gift and happiness. Just is crystal clear. Okay, now I want to show you a GT, because this GT is going to help you see how it can work its magic. All right, because check this out. I had a GT. I just laid one. I didn't have one from a past reading. I just laid one out to use as an example for teaching. But then just last night, one of my friends sent me this GT. And for all of you observant people out there, you'll notice that there are two cards that are upside down. I'll explain why in a moment. All right. Anyway, she sent me a picture of her GT and with her interpretation. But she sent it to me just because she had one question. But I asked her if I could use it because I thought it really helped. I thought it would be helpful in explaining how the bouquet operates in a GT. Okay, so she is female, the seeker. And other than her position, I'm really just going to explain this GT based on the reading around the bouquet. All right, and this was just her she does this every month. It's her monthly GT, like the How Am I Doing GT. Okay, so what can we say from her position? Well, she's in the third row in the first column. So the third row, basically, she's in the middle of the spread. So she's influencing just almost as much as she's being influenced, right? But she's in the first column, which says she is ready to face what's ahead of her. Though, this is what I noticed right away. Look at her column. Even though she's ready to face what's ahead of her, what's she standing on? She's standing on the fox, right? She's standing on distrust, caution, and a feeling of self-protection. And what's weighing most heavily on her? What's the card right above her head? It's the ways. So what's weighing most heavily on her this month is an important decision, or because I know her and her story, this is more like not just one important decision. This is kind of like, where do I go next in life, right? And what's above it but the tree. So the roots of the tree are draining the energy out of this card. Now, what do I mean by that? When the tree is draining the energy out of the card below it, it's stagnating it, slowing it down. So this is telling me that she's been stuck here for a while, all right? And that's where the story begins. So that definitely fits. She's been stuck there for a while and not knowing which way to go. Now, the bouquet plays a prominent role in this spread for a couple reasons. One, it's in her line of sight. Here's her line of sight. That's her row, right? So it's in her line of sight, but it's also one of the center four, which makes it part of the central focus of the story, right? We call this the heart of the story. All right, so you know what, let me explain why these two cards are upside down before I go any further. In the spread that she sent me, the picture, this is exactly the order that these cards fell in, but her rider was facing, right, like, okay, let me just show you this way, right? Her rider faces left, and her snake faces left. Mine face right. So that's why I put them upside down, because I didn't want to change the order of the cards, but I also didn't want to change the directional cues of these two cards. So I stuck them upside down. So I hope that's not messing with too many people's brains. All right. So let me just show you what the bouquet is saying in this spread. First, notice that it is being blessed by the lily. And didn't I just mention the Providence cluster, right? You want the lily and the bouquet above and near your card. Now, even though they are above or in the same line, in alignment, we could say, with her, they are out of her reach. All right? They are currently out of her reach. So, these other cards can explain why these are out of her reach, can't they? All right. So we can say that, excuse me, okay. We can say that the two cards behind the bouquet and the lily are threatening these cards, right? Are bringing complications and threatening these cards, okay? The bouquet sits in the middle of the house and the snake, right? So I can say that there's complications in her home life, her personal life, right? And the house is out of her reach. So she's not completely feeling comfortable at home or in her with her inner world, right? There's some sort of adversity there, right? The snake is a card of adversity. And it looks like she's safe there and has a grip on things with the anchor above. But I'm seeing that she's kind of anchored in repetitive drama and conflict, because we got the whip here, right? I'm reading around the bouquet. You know, we got the anchor and the whip, all right? Now, another thing I notice is that the dog, right? The dog tells you that you can trust your loyalties and allegiances, but it's out of her reach. And it's also being threatened by the scythe, right? So why is it out of her reach? Well, if I follow the line up, I see the man. Who is this man? Who does 28 represent? Well, I think I know, but I'm not going to say because I'd be giving too much of her personal information away. All right, so what I can say is that 28 is connected to the threat to her peace and harmony, and is connected to the difficulties in accepting or appreciating what's offered to her, right? The house above the dog says that this loyalty is safe and can bring prosperity. That's what the house says. But now look at the cards around the dog. There's a missing outcome card, and that correlates with the missing information that the book brings. Something about this loyalty, this friendship is obscured, right? Obscured. That the missing outcome card and the book both tell me there's something about this is obscured. Even though, look at the cards flanking. We got the sun and the stars, right? We got all these positive cards. But this and this missing card are telling me that there's some missing information. There's something about this, the loyalty to this man that she's not seeing. All right. Now, getting back to the bouquet, because that's what we're supposed to be talking about here, Lisa. All right. Remember that I said that it lifts the mood of all the cards it touches. So it's adding something pleasant to and cheering up the snake and the scythe and the whip, right? Touches all of them, while adding even more positivity to the lily, the sun, the anchor, the house, and the dog. Now, if the sun is joy and success, then the bouquet is adding more joy to that. Notice something else. Every way you knight the bouquet, it hits a negative card paired with a positive card. Okay? Now, challenges regarding social success and recognition are influencing her ability to receive happiness, right? It knights to those two cards above, and they are influencing, right? Now, the bouquet is influencing the hardship of starting something new. That's the cross and the child, right? Let's see. Behind her, it knights to the bear and the mice. So that tells me that what's leading up to the reason why this is out of her reach, the bouquet, is a lack of strength, maybe a lack of assertiveness, even though the bear is stronger than the mice here, okay? But it's still paired with the mice. Yeah. You know, it's funny, yeah, because so much of this, I think, is just in her head, right? Yeah. Okay, anyway. So what's really cool is that it knights to ahead. It knights ahead to the birds and the stars. And that is telling me that her disappointments and frustrations are part of her path, right? And the birds is the card of disappointments and frustrations, but they're temporary, they're short term. Which means that even though they are part of her path, she's meant to learn from them. The book sits between them. Yeah. All right, so I don't want to stray too far off the topic of the bouquet, so I'm going to stop there. All right, so as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Leave your questions and comments in the description box below, or in the comments section rather below, or you can send them to me, or you can tag me in the Lenormand Card Study Group on Facebook. So stay tuned for the fish and lily cards coming up later this week. All right. Thanks for watching, as always, and go play with your cards. Bye-bye.